2 minutes later, you're like to the left of the road, and on the road, 50 feet from you, there is a group of patrolmen just chilling. And then there's separate snipers on a hill. So you're 50 to 100 feet from some guys, and then Price is like, okay, let's snipe at some other guys. So not at the people close, at the people far. You shoot them in the head with silenced sniper rifles. And then the group of dudes 50 feet away from you don't hear it. That made me furious because maybe they don't see you on the ground walking past you. They never don't hear you shooting a gun though. Activision devs do not play their own game. It's not your dad doesn't support you.
You should know, you worked at a coffee shop, you stupid bitch.
My name is Casey, and absolutely not fucking Tanner, because my parents don't hate me that much.
Hey, did they have just 8 patches lined up, but they just didn't release them because they were on break? No, you moron kids.
Then we'll, of course, get into it. Change your fucking name and get scammed. He's feeling under the weather.
I probably won't say another word until Stay Humble, so have a good pod, Raz. I'll be here listening.
Got it. We are live. Welcome, boys and girls, to the Dropshot, a Call of Duty podcast, episode number 273. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. I am joined once again by my good friend Tanner. Tanner, how goes it?
What's up, man?
You're tired already, huh?
Well, I didn't get home from that wedding. I didn't get home from that wedding till like 12. Went to bed at like 1:45.
How was it? Did you get fucking hammered?
I had probably like 5 drinks. I had to drive home though, so I wasn't hammered now. I stopped drinking.
You had 5 drinks?
Well, they're wedding drinks.
How long were you there for?
It's a fucking 4-ounce cup, and then they put 3 ounces of ice in it, and then you get a half ounce of liquor, and then another half ounce of soda. So
how long were you there for?
I was there from 3:30 to 10:30.
Oh, 5 drinks is nothing. Okay, I see.
I mean, the drinks started at
3:10?
Like 5:15 or so, 5:30 maybe.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Anyone piss on anyone's camera equipment?
No, not this time, no.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, no, I had, let's see, what did I have? I had a margarita, Jack and Coke. I think I had like 3 of those. Maybe, I guess I only had 4 drinks. I think I had 4. I had 3 Jack and Cokes and then that, yeah. It was fine. Food was pretty good for wedding food.
No,
but
drama.
It was one of those, no. It was one of those, I mean, we were attending the wedding too. It was a couple they were into like the screamo type music when they were younger. They still are like that, like emo type stuff.
No.
So it was kind of cool though, because the music they were all playing, all of their friends are into that stuff still. So it was cool because they were playing a bunch of bangers that were like the most popular songs when we were like late middle school, early high school, like My Chemical Romance, all those shit. Not Taking Back Sunday, but like The Used, My Chemical Romance. They were like playing all that type of music, so that was cool because everyone was all into it because all their friends are like that.
That's
because some weddings are just boring if people aren't dancing. They're very boring, you know. So that makes them a lot more fun and exciting. Were they dancing
to My Chemical Romance, the Black Parade?
Yeah, they were.
That was
actually
I'd
the
love
most.
to see that, actually.
That's probably the craziest song they played, actually, was the Black Parade. There was
song,
like fucking 40 people out there screaming it, yeah.
It's a solid piece of
media.
So
it was fun. It was one of the most fun weddings I've been to. I enjoyed it a lot.
That's good. Well, for all of you listening, welcome to the show. Today we are not talking about weddings. We are instead talking about the campaign. The campaign. I don't know why I did that. It doesn't matter. But yeah, welcome to the show. Today we're talking about the campaign, MW2 campaign. Tanner and I have played it. We have finished it in record time. We speed ran it. Not really.
Standard.
We're going to talk about it. So basically what we're going to do is fairly traditional first half here. Just kind of talk about what we thought of the campaign in general. From mechanics to story to all that shit. And then also a little bit of what we saw in the campaign that raised some eyebrows. Because I was looking like The Rock a couple times. I had that thing up. That eyebrow thing was up So I said, that's interesting. That's real
Really?
interesting. And I wonder what the implications of this thing are for multiplayer or Warzone 2 or DMZ. So that's going to be kind of in the latter half. But that's how we've structured this episode. Before we get into it, no real announcements. If you're watching live or listening to early access, tonight, Damascus Hangout, 6 p.m., game night. It's going to be fun and fucking exciting. We've talked about that plenty. Also, for you Damascus patrons, our behind the scenes episode is up. It's live. It was a fun one. Talked about some things that are going on behind the absolute scenes. I enjoyed it, and you guys will too, probably. Other than that, reminder, subscribe to the goddamn YouTube channel. We're going to be doing our first ever YouTube live stream Saturday, the 29th. Our first ever podcast on the YouTube. Saturday, the 29th. The dropshot.com/live will not work for YouTube for now. It won't work for YouTube on the 29th, but in the future, we will make that work eventually. But for the first couple YouTube live streams, just go directly to the YouTube. Just search the Dropshot podcast. You'll find us. Or you can go to our website, thedropshot.com, and click on the YouTube link there. And then also memberships are live on YouTube. So if you want to support the program, give us a better revenue cut than Twitch gives us for the same $5, you can become a YouTube member. That would be very helpful and very much appreciated. We've already gotten a couple members. We're not really offering anything quite yet for YouTube members, but as we continue to transition to YouTube live streaming, eventually members will be getting some nice little goodies. We have some ideas already, and we will probably come up with more, introduce more membership tiers. A lot of exciting stuff on the horizon for the YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to that, turn notifications on. It's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday. And in the interim as well, sometime next week, we're going to be doing our YouTube test stream. Make sure everything's working. Make sure we have all of our ducks in a row before the 29th. So if you wanted to help us out, help us troubleshoot, you could do that as well. We won't write that in the schedule or anything, so you're just going to have to figure it out and just be there when we go live. So you're going to need noties on, so do it now. So other than that, do we have any other announcements, Tanner?
We could say spoiler alert in the announcements here. If you haven't played the campaign and don't want anything spoiled, then don't listen to this, because there will be spoilers scattered throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Little bits here and there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it, though.
Okay. So, yes. Let's get straight into this bitch. So, yeah, first of all, again, to reiterate, spoiler alert. We're not going to go through all the fucking story and the lore or whatever. We're going to talk about it a little bit. But this, I'm not Ink Slasher. I'm not giving you the whole fucking story because I don't even understand the whole story.
I understand nothing. Yeah.
But there will be some spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, stop listening. There's your warning. And also, if you watched a campaign review thinking there wouldn't be campaign spoilers, unsubscribe from this podcast. How the fuck are we going to review the campaign without spoiling it?
Yeah, I said that because
how the missions play. Like, oh, this mission where you do beep is really fun. Or this part where you do is really unfun. How the fuck would that happen? So if you were under the misapprehension that we would be doing a campaign review without spoilers, use your brain one time, just once. So, of course there are going to be spoilers, and we shouldn't have to say this, but out of an abundance of caution, we will. So here you go, spoiler alert.
Those are my thoughts exactly. If I didn't want to know about the campaign, I would just never watch anything related to the campaign. It's that simple.
And certainly not a fucking podcast episode that's hours long reviewing it. Yeah, I definitely would avoid that if I didn't want spoilers. Because I have a brain that works sometimes. So, yeah, keep that in mind. And stay mad. But yeah, there's your warning. And now I'm going to ask this on the outset. I asked in the Discord and no one fucking answered me. So fuck everyone who's in the Discord. And I'll ask again. Who was Shepard trying to sell the missiles to in that cutscene where the missiles are stolen by the Russian PMCs or the Russians themselves. Who was Shepard trying to sell the missiles to? I like zoned out for a second and then I never figured out who he was trying to sell them to. So please tell me, because it's pissing me off.
Yeah. I don't know either.
Because the campaign went on and then Laswell was like, yeah, Shepard was trying to do the right thing by selling them to whoever, but he fucked up because they got stolen. So I want to know who he was trying to sell them to, whom he was trying to sell them to.
Well, who were the countries involved? Iran,
Russia, the United States. I mean, you go to Amsterdam, so that a little bit, but he wouldn't be selling them to Amsterdam. And I don't think he'd be selling them to Iran either. That doesn't make sense. So I don't know who he was intending to sell them to. And why would that be good intentions? Why would him selling missiles off the books? Like, to whom could he be selling them with good intentions? I don't get it.
No one.
And I'm so mad I missed it. And by the way, before you tell me, oh, you can go and watch cinematics. I know you can. I looked there. Not every single cutscene is in that cinematic thing. So I can't find that cutscene. The only way I could is if I went and like replayed that mission, which would be easy enough because I think the cutscene's at the beginning of a mission, but I didn't care enough.
So you don't remember what mission it was though, probably.
He was trying to sell them to. Thanks. Anyways.
Speaking of that, what was up with the first mission? What did that have to do with anything?
What was the
Wasn't
first
that just
mission again?
completely unrelated where you control that missile as a ghost?
Oh yeah,
in the desert?
Who did you blow up there?
I don't know. That was completely unrelated to the campaign. That was someone totally different that never...
But
I read something that was like a real person. Soleimani. Qassem Soleimani.
Oh, really?
Who was killed by the U.S.
Yeah, by Trump. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Is it actually Soleimani that you killed?
That's what I saw on Twitter. Thought it was something about that. I saw on
Twitter that you use a missile that is the same missile that did kill Soleimani. I don't know if you literally kill... Well, not literally, but I don't know if it's actually Soleimani in the mission, though. But he is Iranian, so...
The new Call of Duty, you call a missile strike on Soleimani. In the first 5 minutes of the new campaign, you pilot a missile that kills him.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
I don't know anything about him, but I guess that was stirring up some drama.
Yeah, it was dumb of Trump to do that. That's my biggest criticism of the entire Trump fucking campaign, was him killing Soleimani. Yeah, it was really dumb. Not because Soleimani's a good guy or whatever, but like, and it worked out fine. But what could have happened is Iran gets mad that we fucking killed a general of theirs. And then we start a war with another nuclear power. That was a really stupid dice roll by Trump, in my opinion. That was my biggest fucking problem as someone who's not very political with his entire campaign. Like, holy shit, was that worth the risk, man? It wasn't, by the way, in my uneducated opinion, but it worked out fine. And
warmongers,
we didn't start a war, but that was a sketchy fucking 2 days.
Okay, I guess that was related. Yeah, Griff's right. That is what started Hassan wanting to retaliate.
Okay.
Because of that strike. So that was related. It just felt so... It was like a cool intro. It was a dope intro, but I felt a little... I would have rather had that mission, like, I don't know, go on longer or something else happen.
Sense. That's cool.
But yeah, I guess since you was calling the strike. Okay, so that makes sense now, yeah. Yeah, see, we'll get more into it, but I don't know what's going on half the time. I don't follow it close enough, and I don't care to.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's like, since the cutscenes are like 3 or 4 minutes long, if you step away for 10 seconds, you don't know what they're talking about for the rest of the cutscene. You missed it already, because they pack so much information into such a short little cutscene.
Yeah. So, anyway. So, Mill said that Shepard was trying to sell missiles to the state of Russia, and then Russian nationalists not affiliated with the state of Russia stole them. That could make sense. Okay. because the Russian leader was trying to kill Makarov. Okay, cool. That would make sense, I guess. So, okay. Good comms. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, spoiler alert. So first thing, continuing on the story. I actually found the story to be pretty dope. There were some like little details, like the ones we just talked about being confused about, that I was not fully understanding because I wasn't paying enough attention. I didn't care quite enough. But the gist of the story was easy to follow. Because it was basically, if you want to like dumb it down, it was like, okay, a bad guy stole 3 ICBMs from the United States, and you need to stop him from using those missiles on the contiguous United States. So basically you're stopping missiles from going off in major cities from a bad guy. Okay, that's perfectly easy enough for me to follow. You can get into the weeds and the specifics, and then maybe you get a little confused like we did, but the story itself is simple enough to follow. That's fine. And the right away, the like cutscenes got me fucking into it. I was like, ooh, this is like cool. This is interesting. It reminded me the first like interaction between Laswell and Shepard. Like the graphics are really good in the cutscenes. The acting is actually quite good. It reminded me of like a dope Netflix show. Like those were the vibes I got. Like yeah,
because that's what it is. They have those actual people and they record it like it's a show basically, and then they just put them in the game instead. Yeah. So that's why it looks so real like it does.
And using that, yeah, exactly. And they were both good actors. I like Laswell a lot as an actress. Whoever acts for her, she's like a good actress, you know. I got really into it.
And then Shep is an actor whose name I don't know, but he plays a government official in every single show or movie he's ever been in.
He's one of those typecast.
He is the classic. Yeah. He's like the classic like Pentagon type character.
He looks the part too, man. Old, bald,
he does.
white guy, kind of
never smile. He's never smiled in any of his shows. I've never seen that guy smile.
Hard to smile when you're protecting our freedoms, you know, by spying on us 24/7. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Shout out to the Pentagon and the Fed. But yeah, it was the cutscenes and shit, like right away, and the acting and whatever, it got me super into it. Way more into it than I've ever been in a Call of Duty campaign. I was like, ooh, this is fun. Like, I actually am engaging with the story a little bit in a way that I've never engaged with a Call of Duty campaign. It wasn't fucking like BioWare level storytelling, like the fucking twist in Knights of the Old Republic where you're like, oh, what the fuck? Like, it's not like the craziest fucking story in a video game of all time, but it was good enough for a first-person shooter game that I was like into it. And I think the how the cutscenes were done and the fact that they had like good ass actors doing them made me like really get into it in a way I never have before. Now, I don't know if me getting more engaged with this than I have any other COD campaign is because of the acting and cutscenes or whatever, their storytelling kind of strategy, or if it's because I'm just like older and was more intent on doing it. It also could have been the case that like since campaign's the only thing I can play right now, I'm actually paying more attention and caring more. I think that's definitely part of it as well. So is the storytelling way fucking better than like MW 2019? Maybe, but probably not that much better. It's probably about the same. Only difference is, since I can't do anything else related to Call of Duty right now, I paid more attention to this. So that's probably why I engaged with it so much more than any other Call of Duty campaign. But suffice, with all that said, it was still a fun little story that I enjoyed. And it was simple enough for me to follow without being a fucking lore nerd. Like, I could play this and only this campaign and understand what's going on, which
Yeah.
which effectively I did. I've played other COD campaigns. I literally couldn't tell you a single detail of any other Call of Duty lore campaign.
I don't know who
Not
half the
one
people
detail.
are. Yeah. So there are going to be some of you single player nerds that listen to this and are just like getting so mad. Maybe just don't listen to it if you're that into the single player, because I know almost nothing about what I'm talking about. I'm just going to talk about how I thought the game played and just like overall like certain missions and stuff, what was more fun. But yeah, I just don't care about the story. I don't know. It's like a 7-hour campaign. Can't get that into it really. So what made Philip turn?
Philip, is that Graves?
Yes. What made old Phil turn?
He was ordered by Shepard. Yeah, that confused me as well, actually. So yeah, you know what? Yeah, I forgot about this.
It's just there's always some good guy that ends up being a bad guy in these campaigns.
Yeah, that's a little bit old. True, actually. That's true.
And now I feel bad because I thought it was going to be Alejandro or one of those like South American dudes, and of course it turned out to be the dumb shit white American.
So Shepard ordered Shadow. Okay, here's what I understood it to be. Shepard, when he sold the missiles, even if they hadn't gotten stolen, he wasn't allowed to sell the missiles. Like, he was doing it for a good reason, but it was still like illegal. So he sold the missiles, they got stolen, and he needed to cover up that he did that, or else he would get like court-martialed and fucking killed or something. I don't know. He'd get in trouble. So he hired Shadow Company, which is not like a spec ops division. They're PMCs. They're like not government agents. They're like Blackwater, which is to say they aren't under the. They're not like in the military. They're definitely
they're military personnel, except they're making 8 times the amount as U.S. military personnel makes. Yeah,
exactly. So Shepard hired them because obviously he can't use a spec ops division. That's why there's no American spec ops in the game. You can't hire an American spec ops division or order them, whatever, because you're trying to cover up the illegal thing you did. So he hires Shadow Company to fucking, and that's why Shadow Company was the ones delivering the missiles, because it was illegal. He had to use someone outside the military. So the missiles get stolen. He wants to cover it up. So he gets Shadow Company to like find Hassan and find the 3 missiles. And then once they have found 1 or 2 or whatever, and they capture the drug cartel bitch, I think what it is Shepard's like, okay, it's really important that we find Hassan and find the missiles, and I need a group of guys who are ruthless and willing to execute civilians summarily, because the mission is so important that I need someone more immoral than Ghost and Price, who are willing to just kill people for the greater good. And therefore, I'm giving this base to Shadow Company, and I'm giving them the mission. And then right after that is when you're alone, and now Shadow Company's looking for you as well. And you can see them executing civilians. I think Shepard was like, I need the ruthless people. That's how important it is. I think that's why they betrayed them.
Okay.
That makes sense?
There was there was something I didn't notice in the playthrough also that I saw a TikTok of, and that scene where you're at the gates and Graves is turning on you. And he says a line, like Ghost turns around and starts to walk, and he says something like, I'm going to call Shepard. And then Graves says something along the lines of, yeah, go ahead, give him a call, see what he thinks. And when Graves says that line, his name turns from blue, like it's been in the rest of the story, to red because he's bad. I'm like, oh, that's a cute little touch. That's something I didn't notice. That was cool.
I did notice that. Yeah. Their names turn
funny.
red. Yeah. It happens when Price is talking to him, too. In that cutscene where Price is Skyping Shepard, in the subtitles, Shepard's name is Blue, and then Shepard, I don't know, says something, and then his name turns red for the rest of the cutscene.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I did notice that. I was like, ooh, that is cute.
That is really cute,
now. Yeah. Shout out to Shepard. Enemy of the pod.
Oh, I don't care. He was whatever. He was a person of the pod. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was fine. It's just, it's hard for me to know exactly what's going on because, like, I don't know the lore like we talked about. I don't know who I know, like, the operators, Price, Ghost, all of them, but I don't know all of their backstories either. So that makes me understand things a lot less. Like, if I'd played these campaigns religiously from the start, then I'd probably be, like, very invested as to all these characters. Who's your favorite character, by the way? I like Soap. I think he's my favorite.
Soap is the most fucking normal.
Soap is normally a good-looking guy.
Yeah, he's a
great-looking guy.
Real
great
square
voice.
jaw, super square jaw. He
And
needs
then
to
the
get a
new,
haircut, though. The mohawk is cringe. It's 2022.
Yeah, we can for sure drop the mohawk. And then the new drug lord chick, she's really nice. I like her.
Hot.
Yeah, she's
Real
great
hot.
looking. They better have an operator of her. Massive missed opportunity because there's been a bunch of operators out, but she's not in there yet, I don't think. Everyone's like, you better fucking bring her as an operator. So that'll probably be in some sort of pack or with season 1, hopefully. They'd miss out on millions of dollars if she's not.
I think Laswell was my favorite character, actually.
Laswell's dope.
I liked her a lot.
Why do I feel like
really
Captain...
well? She was the best actress in the whole campaign, I think. Like, she's a really fucking solid actor, I feel like. I don't know.
Yeah,
they were all
she was
good,
cool.
but like she was great, I feel like.
Yeah.
Ghost is fucking cringe. Imagine being in a bar. That last cutscene when they're in a bar, everyone's in like just normal clothes, and you have some guy with a fucking balaclava sipping a fucking bourbon. Fuck you, you pretentious cunt. What are you doing? I don't care how much of a badass you are. If you're a Spec Ops guy wearing a balaclava sitting with Tanner and I, fine. But if it's you and all your Spec Ops friends, you would be getting roasted for wearing a balaclava at a bar. Like, fuck off. It's so cringe. I hate it. It's so dumb. That pisses me off a lot. But anyway, yeah, I think Laswell was probably my favorite character. My favorite, like, operator was probably the Vaqueros leader guy, the Colonel, Alejandro. That guy was fucking dope, dude. Alejandro kind of looks like Gabe, by the way. Same hair, same facial hair, too. You know, he's got the really high on the cheeks
Alejandro was
beard.
fantastic.
Really high on the cheeks beard, you know?
Gabe does have Gabe's beard is almost touching his eyeballs, actually.
On the cheeks, it's like super high facial hair, and Alejandro had that, too.
Let me look up a picture of Alejandro here. Yeah, he does, actually. Same haircut, you're right.
Yeah, he reminded me a lot of Gabe, and Mexican, of course.
If he had like a big thick beard like Gabe has had, and then Gabe grew his back out, they would look very similar. Yeah. Nose, everything. You're right. Interesting. Is that what he's been doing lately? He hasn't been working much. Has he been doing some voice acting for COD,
Well,
man?
he's in deep with drug users, so maybe he's gotten to the cartel level. I don't know. He would try to fuck a cartel leader if she looked like that. You know, Gabe.
That's the first thing he'd ask. Yeah. Oh, is this cartel leader that I'm going after hot? I won't do the mission if she's not. Yeah. Well, GG's.
Sure. Yeah. By the way, the cartel leader being the girl, I knew it the instant I entered that stupid room. I was
why else would she be like the one in charge giving people like, orders?
Oh, the nameless is upstairs. I was like, okay, bitch, it's you. Like, that was the most obvious twist I've ever fucking seen. That I also didn't understand, by the way. When they send Soap into the compound, why would they let him in? Like, what does the cartel have to gain?
Because it's a video game, yeah. I thought that was dumb, too. I'm like, they're not going to
get it.
The cartel is not doing that. They're literally beheading you at the gate and then, like, dragging your torso through the streets. Like, no, they're not letting you in and then just kind of pushing you. They're killing you on sight. You're KOS, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely KOS. Because from the cartel perspective, some Spec Ops guy shows up to your gate and says, hey, I want to tell you guys information. I would be
That's not sus at all. Let him in, yeah.
Exactly. As the cartel leader, I'd be like, what the fuck would this guy have to gain from doing this? No, you're dead. Yeah, I'm just killing you on sight. Like, literally, just right there. Just get on your knees. You're dead. See ya.
Yeah, they were way too nice to him.
And then they let him just wander around the compound because he was honest with you? Fuck that. Fuck no. If I'm in the cartel, even if I do let him in, I put him in the chair, he tells me all the truth so I can trust him. I'd say, cool, thanks. Stay right the fuck here and don't move, and I'm keeping you strapped to this chair under lock and key with guards with automatic weapons pointed at you for the entire time. And then if I want to talk to you more, I will come back, continue to talk to you, get all the info I want, and then kill you. Because I'm a fucking drug cartel lord. And I've done way worse
they were
things
way
than
too
that.
nice.
So it just didn't make any sense. That was really dumb. Yeah, that pissed
confirmed.
me off too.
Activision is in with the cartel, probably.
Yeah.
Bobby's allegedly the head of a cartel,
Well, they consulted with a lot of military, obviously, but they didn't consult with any cartel drug lords because they did not get that right, how they would act. And I'm an expert, so I would know. That's what would have happened.
Spent some time in the Corps, Yeah,
from my time in the Corps, which is a joke.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't steal valor, relax. So anyway, the story was fun though. It was a fun little story. I guess I'll mention this now because I wrote this down for later. Speaking of things that pissed me off about the story of the campaign, the mission where you're playing as Price and Gaz. You're playing as Gaz on the island with Laswell in the boat, and you're fucking in the ghillie suit sniping people. Two parts of that mission made me furious. So one of them is where Price is like, okay, the patrol's coming, stay still. If you need to move, do it slow. And you're just prone in the grass. And fucking 10 people walk right past you, and you're just laying in the grass in a ghillie suit. That would not work in real life.
Not in grass that's that thin, no. Or that short.
Yeah, exactly. Like, ghillie suits are pretty effective. But if I'm walking by, even if I don't expect to see someone there, if there are two fucking dudes just prone on the ground, someone is going to notice them every single time.
Yeah.
That was absurd. And then, 2 minutes later, you're like to the left of the road, and on the road, 50 feet from you, maybe 100 feet. Either way, there is a group of patrolmen just chilling. And then there's separate snipers on a hill. So you're 50 to 100 feet from some guys, and then Price is like, okay, let's snipe at some other guys. So not at the people close, at the people far. You shoot them in the head with silenced sniper rifles. And then the group of dudes 50 feet away from you don't hear it. And that made me furious. Because maybe they don't see you on the ground walking past you. They never don't hear you shooting a fucking gun, though. I don't know what fucking Activision thinks silencers do. This is coming from someone who's never shot a gun, by the way. But I can tell you this. You can put a fucking stupid can on a 50 caliber bolt action sniper rifle. But you're definitely going to hear it still if you're 50 feet away on an otherwise silent island. Like, that would be insanely loud. You would immediately hear that. It's so dumb. That made me so fucking mad. I was furious. Yeah,
that part of the mission especially was really annoying having to go through that.
That was the most unbelievable part of the whole
Yeah,
campaign.
I'm like, dude, if we're going to do like a long distance sniping mission, that's cool. Don't have me walk through like 30 guys as they step over my body while I'm laying in a pile of mud, but I'm hidden because I have a ghillie suit on. Get me up on a hill 1,000 meters away where no one's around. Why am I walking past all of these guards, man?
Yeah.
It was just, that mission pissed me off too. A lot of the missions did. But, I thought the same thing. I'm like, dude, like some of these guys from the video, I've never shot a suppressor either because they're illegal in California because people watch movies and thinks suppressors are everyone's gonna go on a killing spree with them or just walk into people's houses and start killing people with a suppressed gun and get away with it or something. But the videos I've seen, people will even still use ear protection when using like ARs with suppressors on them because they're making a lot of noise still.
They're still fucking loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still an explosion happening. I mean, that's how bullets are fired.
Yeah. You know what's funny about suppressors, by the way? One of those like UK countries where you can own like bolt action guns for like hunting and shit, or like killing, hogs on your property. Somewhere over there. It's either in Europe or I don't know. But in those countries, you have to use suppressors because they say it's better for like so your neighbor's not hearing you fucking just buck off. But then here in the US, like, oh no, suppressors, you can't use those, man.
Yeah.
It should be illegal, but anyways.
Yeah.
That mission absolutely pissed me off, and it took way too long. And then it's like you do this long range sniping, and then I just run down in there and start gunning people unsuppressed, picking up their guns, and then you get past that wave, and then you go to another part, and no one heard anything, so then you go back to sniping again. Yeah. Like, I'm all for those long-range sniping missions. Like, that was fun to do in games like Ghost Recon Wildlands and shit. You sit really far away, there's a ton of bullet drop, you snipe people. If there's no guards around where they are, they don't see them drop. But then, like, stay there sniping. I don't like these missions where they make you do long-range sniping, and then you just go in anyways and start blasting. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll get more into that. It ruins
the whole point of that.
Yeah, so anyway, that's just some about the kind of story and shit. So, yeah, what is this first point here, Tanner? This is an interesting take.
My favorite missions were the ones where I was not playing a first-person shooter single-player video game. I like the one where you controlled Ghost with the cameras.
Ooh,
told him what to do.
Yeah.
It was kind of frustrating at first. Then once I started doing it, I was like, this is actually a lot more fun. This is kind of cool to watch. You choose if you can knife people or shoot them. The guards that are heavily armored, which we'll certainly get into, you have to knife instead. Things like that. So I thought that was cool. That was actually kind of a difficult mission that I did fail a few times in a few spots, but it was still fun. The gunship mission I thought was a ton of fun. So I'm not an Apache gunner in real life, but I've seen a lot of videos of those gunners barking off on thermals in Afghanistan and shit, and what that does. Like, the impact of when the rounds hit the ground and you see shit like blow up looks very, very similar to how it looks in the video game. So I thought COD did a good job with that. I think you're supposed to be in like AC-130 or something like that in this game. It's not like an Apache, but it's a lot of the guns are like the same. I guess it's considered caliber of rounds, like 25 millimeter, 40 millimeter. The audio on that mission was really cool. It was dope to actually have to. I don't think I failed that mission. I did one time, I think, right at the start. I'm like, oh shit, those are civilians. I can't kill those people. So it's kind of cool because, like, I would have to zoom in and be like, okay, this guy doesn't have a gun. I'm not going to kill him. So then they'd kind of be grouped up. And when you fired the rounds, it was a little like rewarding feeling because you had to, if someone was sprinting, you had to aim way in front of them. You had to lead it. So that was kind of fun to like learn how to do that. Because of course that's how it is in real life too. They're not just hitting the ground immediately. But sometimes they would be grouped up with like farmers and shit. So I'd be like, okay, I think if I use the smaller cannon and I shoot over here on this side, fire like a short little burst, it'll kill that guy, but not kill the farmer and things like that. So that was kind of fun to mess around with. The mission did end up going on a little too long, but that whole environment there was pretty like destructive. You could destroy a bunch of the buildings. They would just blow to pieces. You could destroy like the water tower and shit, knock things down. So that mission was a ton of fun. So my missions that were like most memorable to me were ones where I like wasn't running around shooting. And the worst mission, I think one of the worst missions, there were quite a few I didn't like, but the driving one where they dropped the mines out of the back and you had to keep hopping to new vehicles and yours got damaged. Yeah. That was the most annoying campaign mission in Call of Duty I think I've ever played.
That's interesting. I have a different contender for the most annoying one.
I hated that one, along with Alone, of course. That was also dog shit, which I'll let you get into and cover. But I'll talk more about my overall thoughts at the end about what like the reasoning is. But I just don't like Call of Duty FPS single player games. Just they don't feel right to me. I don't know. So I like watching the cutscenes and I like playing those style of missions where I'm not just like running around shooting people because those don't feel rewarding to me. So I thought there was a lot of variety. I will absolutely give them that. A ton of variety of missions in this game. You know, anything from long range sniping to running and gunning to driving to being in the gunship. A lot of different things. So I liked how they did that. But yeah, my least favorite missions were the ones where you're running around on the ground using a gun.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I thought the campaign was way too gimmick heavy, which is kind of what you're talking about. Like when you control the cameras, the fucking driving mission, the flying mission. So I think you need some gimmick shit like that in a campaign because it would get insanely old to just always be like running around shooting shit.
100%. Yeah, you have to have that to break it up.
So you do need some gimmicks for sure. But it felt like more than half of the entire gameplay was a gimmick of some kind. And it's like at some point, I'm like, okay, I get you want to break up the fact that this is an FPS game, but it should still be like mostly an FPS campaign. And it felt like it literally was 50-50, which is just a little too crazy for me. We should have some gimmicks. It shouldn't be the majority of the fucking game. So Tanner went over most of them. The flying mission was an entire gimmick mission, as far as I'm concerned. The driving one, same. Like, you're shooting somewhat, but it's mostly the driving aspect. The camera controlling one. And, like, there were... All of these were, like, fairly fun. I found the driving one pretty fucking annoying, too. That one was not fun. But most of the gimmick missions were fun. But another reason why this campaign I thought was too gimmick heavy is that they all just dragged on too fucking long.
Yeah, that happened a lot in this campaign. A lot.
Where, it's same here. So, the entire air support mission was way too long. For the first 10 minutes, it was fun. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is neat. Oh, I can't just full send this glass house because I'm not allowed to kill civilians. Okay, let me try again. And then kind of learning, like you said, how you have to like lead targets and you have to wait for the civilians to run away. That was all cool and fun and exciting for 10 minutes. And then I was like, okay, I've had enough. I'm done. So what they should have done, in my opinion, with that mission in particular, because you're controlling Graves in his ship, or Graves' crew, whatever. Graves' gunman. And then Ghost is on the ground with Alejandro and some other people. I think the way they should have done this mission was, while you're at the compound in the beginning, where you're like looking at the glass house, and then they eventually storm the compound and take or find someone. I don't know if they get Hassan there. They do. They capture Hassan in the compound. You should be in the gunship for that portion. And then after you take Hassan, Ghost and them get in a car and leave. And then you stay in the gunship and provide air support while they're driving away. And then they drive past the school and the gas station. And then you continue to provide air support until Ghost's extraction helicopter gets there and he leaves. I think as soon as you capture Hassan and start driving away, your POV should switch from Graves to Ghost or Alejandro or something. And then you play the rest of that campaign as the guy in the car who is getting air support. That would have been a perfect amount of flying plus FPS. But it was all flying and it was fucking boring. I hated that. So that pissed me off. The entire driving mission was cringe, I think. It just went on too long.
The driving mission felt like the longest mission to me. It felt longer than like Alone and those other ones. Even it felt longer than the sniping one. I think it was because I failed it so many times, honestly. Because it's kind of... It almost is difficult to... Because you're driving and then you have to look out the window and you can't steer anymore when you do that. You basically lose control of your vehicle. So it's like you have to shoot the people that are dropping the mines while also trying to avoid all the mines and also trying to avoid other vehicles and also trying to avoid civilians, because if you run into them, you automatically fail the mission. Yeah, that thing went on way too long. That convoy was like 400 vehicles long, man. It never ended. And it was just so repetitive. I swear, I think I was on just like a racetrack and I just went around it 2 or 3 times. Like, I don't know. That thing just got boring so quickly, and it just drug on way too long, I thought.
I agree. Yeah, so that mission just simply needed to be shorter.
Yes,
it's that simple. Like the driving and shooting out of your car, that shit's cool, and like, you know, getting on the roof and jumping to another vehicle, make me do that exactly one time, that's all, and then end the mission sooner. That's what I think. So just too much gimmick there. It just dragged too long. And there, I think, were a couple other examples. I think the camera mission was a perfect way to do a gimmick and it be fun. Because you start not being on the cameras. You rappel up. You're killing kids. You're being stealthy. This is all fun. This is really fun. You get to the CCTV shit. You control the cameras. for 5 or 10 minutes. And then once he plants all the charges, you're back in FPS gaming. And then you finish the mission that way. That's perfect. Like, that's the perfect amount of gimmick. I think they all should have went that way. Back to the sniping mission. I thought that was largely cool with Price and Gaz, besides the 2 unrealistic things. That was a fun mission, I thought. I like a stealthy sniping mission. Those are always fun. You always need one in a COD campaign, and I enjoyed that by and large. I also thought it was cool where once you killed all the scouts, you would have to like push the buildings and kill the kids inside. I thought that was actually fairly realistic. I disagree with you on that, because it was basically like 3 separate like camps communicating via radio. So you had to kill the guys outside the buildings so that they wouldn't radio to other camps and send the whole fucking platoon at you. And then since you had to go inside to look for evidence or whatever, you have to kill the guys inside. So like, I think that made sense.
Yeah, but no, it would have been more fun is if I just stayed on that hill sniping and didn't have to crawl through all the grass and go in.
More fun,
and then you send like another team in, and then they're trying to grab the items, and then as they're going into the buildings fighting, AI, the bad guys again start running out of the building trying to shoot at them. You're providing like sniper cover support. They get the shit and start moving up, then I just keep covering them. That's just me.
Better.
I like, if you're going to give me a sniping mission, give me an actual sniping mission. Like,
I agree.
Because laying there, having to adjust for like the range and of where the people were and trying to get like double shots, that part was fun. I said, like, then having to go in after and clear out a little tiny warehouse that had like 30 guards in it just sitting in random corners crouched. I
do agree with you. You know what would it, because there is enough of like going into buildings and killing people in the campaign that you might as well leave that mission as all sniping. I think you're right. I agree. You know how they could have done that super easily? Make you control Price instead. Because that's all he did that whole mission was snipe.
Yeah, it would be dope if you could choose who you can control at certain points. Because since there were like, you had cutscenes in this game. I don't know if they've been in other campaigns. I don't remember. Maybe they were in MW 2019. But where like there were different questions you could ask or different ways you could answer questions. So it kind of would have been cool if like there's some sort of like voice line where Price is like, do you want me to stay up here and provide like cover? And then you could basically choose at that point, like, I want to play as Price right now and stay on the hill while Ghost goes down there. But that's probably a lot of extra time for them designing a campaign that's only like 7 hours long. So I can see why they don't do it, but that would be something really fun that would, I think, solve like a lot of the issues that just like little things I didn't enjoy about the campaign.
And it would also give some replayability. Because if you complete the mission,
a lot of replayability, that's true,
while you're sniping, then you can't also complete the same mission in the same playthrough as the guy pushing. So yeah, that would be cool. I see why they don't do it, but that would be dope for sure. But yeah, anyway, I did like the sniping mission by and large, but I hated having to get the collats. Make me do that exactly once. If you're going to do it at all, because that is let's be realistic. That's, well, the 50 caliber bullet. Maybe it's actually not that absurd.
I don't think that gun was what caliber was that gun? Was it 50? I don't think they ever said. I don't even know what gun it was.
Maybe not. I just assume any bolty.
I mean, a 50 cal would probably go through about 10 people in a row.
Yeah, I guess it would make sense. But don't make me get collats 80 times, and especially because I would have to run. Many times it would be like, Price would be like, get 2 guys with 1 shot. Like, oh no, first of all, no problem. How many times I'd be very curious to ask an actual fucking Marine recon sniper how many times he's been forced to kill 2 people with 1 bullet. I think it's pretty hard to kill 1 fucking guy with 1 bullet, let alone fucking 2, but okay, whatever. Yeah. But he would say that, and then I would have to just get up and sprint for a solid like 20 seconds like an asshole, and then find them again and be like, okay. And it's not hard to get the collat kill in Call of Duty. It was just like I had to spend a total of probably like 2 or 3 minutes just running around and readjusting like an asshole to line them up. That pissed me off.
It felt dumb. Like, I would run really far, and I'm like, there's no way, like, he's gonna tell me like, get back here, you're too far away, and then like the shot still wouldn't be lined up. I'm like, dude, like, how far do you want me to run to get the shot? Doing the collat thing, I remember the very first time I was like, oh, sick, I just did a collat. That's like dope. And then the next time he's like, kill 2 with 1 bullet. And I'm like, okay, again. And then you do that like another 4 times. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just sick of doing this now, man.
Yeah.
Why don't you kill 2 with 1 bullet, Price, and I'll take the other guy? Like, Jesus, man. You're fucking sitting in the same spot. You get the double kill from there. Little collat.
Yeah. So that was cringe. And then the worst, this is equivalent to the Vanguard campaign mission where you take control of the plane. So unlike Vanguard, I couldn't just get off and go play multiplayer, because I'm not kidding. I literally would have done that, and I wouldn't have finished this campaign if I could play any other part of MW2. But unfortunately, I was stuck with the campaign, so I said, fine, I'll do it. The mission titled Alone, where it's right after Graves betrays you and Ghost fucking escape down the hill into the city, and you're all hurt. And then you don't have a gun, and you have to run around finding nuts, bolts, shards of glass, tape, mouse traps, wax, chemicals, and you have to craft a bunch of dog shit to get smoke grenades. You have to craft a bunch of shit to get to Ghost at the church or whatever. Okay. So you had to get like little components to craft things. And I'm not going to sit here and memorize what components I need to craft a particular item. So very quickly what I realized was I would pick up, for example, I'd pick up wax and duct tape. Okay. I don't know what the components to make anything are. I'm not going to remember. For one mission, I'm not going to go through the mental labor of trying to memorize what things I need to make whatever. So it was an exercise in, I pick up items, I open my little radial menu crafting thing, and I mouse over everything to see if I can craft something. And then I can or can't, and then I exit the menu, I run for 10 seconds, pick up another thing, and I have to open the menu again and go through every single thing and see if something is craftable or not. There should have at the very least, it should have been on your screen the whole time, and it should have said like, this is craftable now. That's craftable now. Because don't make me open the menu every time to see if something is craftable now. Also, there were too many things that were possible to craft. Simplify it more. I don't need all of this shit. And it got old so fucking fast. Because when I started that mission, I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Because the only thing you could craft in the beginning was like a shiv. Or no. It was a
pry
maybe
bar,
a shiv.
the door pry.
And the door pry and like a shiv or something. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I'm going to have to like scavenge for a maximum of 4 different component types and then get to Ghost using those. And then all of a sudden, there are 20 different component types, and now I'm overwhelmed in an FPS game. And it's annoying and cringe. And also, it just lasted way too long. That mission, you have to go entirely too far. It's boring. It's not fun. For some reason, the guns you would pick up would have no bullets in them.
Yep.
When every single other enemy, when you pick up their gun, they have at least 3 mags.
They don't have to reload ever.
Why is it artificially this guy has 3 bullets in his pistol? Just so you're forcing me to do your gimmick? That should not be the case. They should still have 3 mags in their pistol or whatever gun, and you should have the option to just pick up a gun and go fucking loud through the rest of the thing. But they don't let you because they want to force you to use their gimmick, and they'll make it unrealistic or at least incongruent with the rest of the missions in terms of how much ammo they drop, just to force you to use their gimmick. That made me furious because I was like, okay, I finally found a shiv and I stabbed this guy who had a gun. Finally, I can stop crafting. Wrong. 3 bullets. Cool. Okay. This is so fucking stupid. That pissed... I think I made a noise in real life with my mouth. I was like, ugh. Or I said, are you serious? Or, oh my fucking God, really? I made one of those 3 noises for sure with my mouth. To myself. that made me really mad.
Did you craft a shiv or the glass shard?
I don't remember.
So I was gonna say, I don't remember. I was never able to craft a shiv there. I crafted the glass shard, and then it was only one use.
Yeah, I think it was
in the glass shard. Pro. Okay, because I was like, damn,
shard.
I wonder if I could have crafted a shiv there. Funny you say that about not going loud. That's what I literally ended up doing. I got so sick of that mission because it was such dog shit, and I got sick of walking around trying to hide from everyone.
Can go loud with the M4s, yeah.
I mean, I did it like halfway through. I did it like way before you get in the tunnels. I got to this one point and I'm like, I'm so sick of this shit. I literally turned it down to recruit. I'd been playing on normal. I said, I'm not doing this mission anymore. I literally thought about you. I'm like, I'm dead serious. I don't even want to finish the campaign now because this mission is fucking terrible. I ended up getting a gun somehow.
How did you have enough ammo to go loud though?
Because you kill one and you run over their body.
Yeah,
you just keep changing guns, and you run over their body. That's what I ended up using was a bunch of the shotguns because the shotguns had good range. So I'm just like, fuck it, I want to get through this. So I put it on recruit. After one of the times I died, I killed some guy some way. I think with the glass shard, took his gun and just started barking off. And I did die still a few ways doing that, even on recruit difficulty, trying to get through it. I'm like, dude, this is so slow and boring, and I'm sick of. Like, this mission would have been fun literally if it was like a fifth of the length that it was.
Yeah.
Like sneaking through a few buildings. Because it was fun at first when like Graves is right there and you're trying to sneak by him. And then it's just like, dude, really? I'm in another area sneaking through. It's like, okay, still? Like, what's going on? This is boring now. I'm over it.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine how bad it would be if you just go through that whole thing without ever using a gun, which I'm sure a lot of people did.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You could have gone louder sooner. I actually did. But there was still, like, the first third of the mission, there's not enough ammo to go loud. So I think that's what I'm referring to. Because, like, when you first find the shard and kill the guy, it's like, first of all, everyone there only has the pistols. I think. And then later, but before the tunnel still, people start having shotguns and shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I went loud too. Because I was in the same boat as you. I was like, oh, I'm super done crafting mouse traps. I'm super done.
I never used any of those. I crafted all of them, but I never used them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Especially it was dumb. I'm super done running over a component, picking it up, and then having to open a radial menu to see if I have a new craftable. Every single time. Like, it was so tedious. It's insane how tedious it was. So, yeah, that really made me mad. It should have been the case that the first guy you killed had an unsuppressed gun, because they have no reason to use suppressors, so why did they have them on their pistols in the first place? That didn't make sense. The first guy has some gun that's loud, and it has a normal amount of ammo, the same as any other enemy you kill in any other campaign mission. And that you have the option to be done crafting, but it's going to be way fucking harder because everyone hears you and they're going to be bum rushing you now. That should have been an option, but it wasn't, because they just artificially limited how much ammo there was, at least for that first third. It was really dumb. And that mission was, yeah, entirely too fucking long. Holy shit. So, all of this is to say, in general, the campaign was too gimmick heavy, but that was the biggest example of gimmicking gone too far.
Yeah, that was such a bad mission. And then even when you get to the end of it, where Ghost is in the church, like helping you sniping, that part you can't get ammo either. You have to go loud there and you're killing everyone. That was another part where I'm like, I ended up being on recruit because I'm like, dude, I don't want to play this. It's not fun trying to kill all these armored guys and I have 20 total bullets. Like, I can't possibly kill them. Like, I don't know how you get past that mission on, like, veteran or something. I really, truly don't, because there's quite literally not enough ammo to go around. I don't know how you would even beat that.
A bunch of mollies. You're supposed to be crafting a bunch of mollies. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, I guess
with
that's
those
why.
guys.
And I didn't like crafting anything, because that was, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. So, yeah. Mission was absolutely terrible.
It was easily
so
the worst mission in the campaign. Yeah. And like you said too, in the beginning, I was really excited for it. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be fun. Like, I'm fucking hiding. I have to be stealthy. I have to take people down, like, discreetly. And then that quickly went away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quickly went away. So, anyway, yeah. Michael Myers sure is scary, but the last thing you need is to be hairy this Halloween. Luckily, our friends at Manscaped launched their 4th generation performance package to make sure your pumpkins get the ultimate carving experience on this spooky day. Turn your bite-sized treat into a king-size candy and join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code DROPSHOT. Make the right call this spooky season. It's trick or trim. You ever try to trim your balls and it turned into a Freddy Krueger film? Well, luckily Manscaped is here to save the day and make sure you're feeling your best in your costume. Unlock your confidence with the Performance Package 4.0, inside which you'll find the holy grail of men's grooming items. It's a full moon out and the werewolf in your pants is howling. It's time to tackle that problem with the Lawnmower 4.0. Their finely tuned pube products feature a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It also includes the Weed Whacker, a total game changer to your men's hygiene arsenal. It's a nose and ear hair trimmer that provides a proprietary skin-safe technology that prevents nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations, Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, and Crop Reviver Ball Toner. That'll make sure your pumpkins stay fresh. Manscaped also just launched their new Body Buffer, 100% antibacterial body scrubber, which is just what you need to keep you fresh and clean this Halloween. There's also 2 free gifts in the Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag. Also, if you're looking like Wolverine and haven't cut your nails recently, be sure to look into the Shears 2.0 Nail Kit. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DROPSHOT at manscaped.com. Once again, 20% off, free shipping with the code DROPSHOT at manscaped.com. Say trick or treat to your beautiful new Halloweeny with Manscaped. Moving on here. It looked really good, the graphics. I configured my settings, in fact, to mirror what I'll be doing for multiplayer in Warzone. And basically what I do in every like competitive FPS game, I turn it, so I'll tell you, here are my COD settings. Turn every graphical setting to off or low, the lowest possible I can go. With the exception of texture resolution, I keep it medium, so the game looks somewhat decent. But everything else is off or low. And then the only other thing I do to negatively impact my frames is turn my FOV all the way up. So I had my FOV 120, texture resolution medium, everything else as low as possible or off. And even with those settings, the game looked fucking good. Like, it was pretty. It looked nice.
Yeah.
It looked quite good, actually. And the performance was good, too. I was getting like 180, 190 frames when I paid attention. On a good setup, but not the best setup, you know. And I had no performance issues ever. No hitching, no stuttering. I didn't crash once, in fact, in the campaign. There was 2 times where I would die, and instead of loading the last checkpoint, my screen would just be black. So I'd have to Alt F4. That happened twice.
Oh, that happened to me. Yeah.
So you could count that as a crash, I guess. But that only happened twice in, you know, the whatever 8 hours of gameplay. So that was pretty good. So the performance is really good and on PC, and it looked really, really good, especially for how low my settings were. It looked great. I was very pleased with it.
Yeah. The Amsterdam mission especially was really pretty.
And when you're flying into Chicago, the last mission, that was dope.
Yeah.
Dude. You see like the skyline? I was like, damn, this is dope looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Amsterdam mission looked good too.
Yeah, I wasn't getting very good performance, but I think it could have been my NVIDIA driver. I'm on some weird dog shit when I didn't update it.
What were your frames?
Like 130, 140 usually. There was
you
one
didn't
mission
fuck with
where
your settings though, did you?
There was one mission, the one where you're in the water and you're trying to like knife people standing on the docks.
Oh yeah, that one.
Where it's at night. That one I was dipping to 90s. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
That's very weird.
So, I don't know. I mess with my settings, but I don't turn like everything down to low like that. I leave a lot of the stuff on like medium. And texture resolution I use on high.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But like most things that you can turn on or off besides like screen space and like HBAO, those I turn off. But everything else I usually just like go to low instead of off.
Oh, by the way, while we're talking about settings, PSA. Very important. I don't know if this is a setting on console. Maybe it is. You should look for it. There's a setting called, definitely on PC and I think also on console, called, what's it called?
AMD cast fidelity.
Yes, that
one. Yeah.
Turn that shit on, turn it up to 100. Your game will look way better.
Way easier to spot things. This was in Vanguard as well, and it was on console, because I remember like being surprised that it was on console, and it was.
Okay.
Because everyone was like, holy shit, thanks for telling us that. That makes the game look a lot better.
I remember it was a huge deal in Vanguard, yeah. It's a big deal here, too.
Yeah, it'll be the same thing in multiplayer when that drops. Absolutely turn that on. Somewhere in the quality settings, you don't have to have an AMD graphics card. It's similar to like what DLSS is supposed to be, I think, but it works 10 times better and actually makes your visibility better instead of worse.
It makes your visibility better in terms of like being able to spot people, but it also
makes the game
looks
sharper
better too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also like aesthetically it looks better too. So yeah, definitely do that. PSA. So yeah. Next, some interesting things. This is kind of sort of, this maybe belongs to the next section, but I'm just going to talk about it here. Where am I? Some of the movement is clearly different than the multiplayer beta, and I'm unclear what that entails. Were they changed, or are there just differences between multiplayer and campaign movement, and these are intended differences? For example, in the campaign, you can slide and shoot your gun at the same time. That was not possible in the multiplayer beta. So either you can shoot and slide in the campaign, but not multiplayer, or they changed it and we'll be able to shoot and slide in both.
Well, there is still like a strong delay though, but you can do it. I don't remember exactly how it was in multiplayer.
I didn't try in the campaign, so I have no idea.
Could you not shoot at all when sliding until the slide was completely finished? I don't remember.
I'm almost
because there's
positive,
still
yeah.
a delay on this, but it's like a little bit more than halfway through the sliding animation, you can start shooting. And I didn't think it was that way before. Not positive. Don't quote me on that, but I swear that felt different.
Okay.
That's one of the first things I tested and noticed. Like the second mission you do.
So next, bee hopping is like impossible. Jake had mentioned this to me. I don't know if he posted it publicly. It might have been in the Fire group chat. Shout out to whoever got mad last time I said that. Fire group chat, fuck you. I don't remember who that was, but it was someone in Discord. So suck my balls.
My balls.
But wherever he said it, whether it was in the Fire group chat or not, he was like, dude, bee hopping is terrible in the campaign, at least. And he said that, and I was like, yeah, I thought that too, actually. I hadn't said anything about it, but I tried it in one of the hangars to like bee hop some guy, and my character jumped for sure. Didn't bee hop though, like not at all. And it was night and day different from what you could do with bee hopping in the multiplayer beta. So that's way different. And this could be also, the movement speed in general seemed a lot slower in the campaign. So I don't think they nerfed movement speed. I think the movement speed is just slower in campaign on purpose, and it won't be this slow in multiplayer. I'm 99.999% sure of that.
Agreed.
So the fact of bee hopping being dog shit in campaign is probably just because the movement speed is slower. You don't have enough momentum to bee hop. That's probably what it is. So those things are probably related. So bee hopping is still probably fine in multiplayer. But it could also be the case that I had like a gun that was like shit to bee hop with. But I think it is the movement speed thing. But it was dumb that you move way slower in the campaign. Like pretty much everywhere. I attack sprinted a couple times, and that felt as fast as multiplayer, I think. But it's like a lot of times you're just artificially gimped. I don't know.
Yeah, they like cap your walking speed or like your regular sprint speed, or don't let you tack sprint. There were a lot of movement mechanics that felt weird, and I don't think that's exactly how it's going to translate over to multiplayer. So I'm not worried, but if they did make those changes and nerf bunny hopping, then that's really, really bad for, I think, the overall speed of the game. Unless they increased all movement speeds by like 5 or 7% alongside that, it's going to be a very boring multiplayer. If you can't slide and you can't jump with slow movement speed, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know some people are already making a big deal about this on Twitter because you can glitch into, well, it's not a glitch, it's just still hasn't been patched. You can get into like the gunsmith and like firing range, and people were getting into the firing range, and they said you still can't bunny hop in there, and they're like, oh, well, this should be like exactly how it is in multiplayer. But it's like, yeah, but you're playing the campaign download. Like, it's not, that's not going to just suddenly just going to change for how it is exactly in multiplayer. So I don't know. I will be very worried though if this is the movement we are getting in multiplayer. I just have a hard time believing that they did that.
I'd bet money that won't be an issue, but it is possible. Yeah. So
we'll also have, there will be a big patch that goes live the day of, that the day the game launches next Thursday. So we don't actually know what build of the game is in right now, because it's not even there. There will be a day one patch like always. Yeah. They change a bunch of things.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, what do we got next?
Yeah, my next thing here in regards to like gunplay and stuff, I noticed optic sway was still insane. Could just be single player again, hopefully, but one of those first missions, which was also a terrible, boring mission, by the way, where you're using the EBR and it starts at night.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You go in with the tanks and stuff. When you zoomed in the first, I think it was probably like a 3-6 optic or something similar to that. The first zoom level had sway. The second zoom level, I'm not kidding, if you like move to the left or right, the center reticle would be swaying so much you almost could not see it. It almost went out of optic view. It was terrible. So that will lead to very bad, boring gunplay if that's how this is in multiplayer. And this was similar to how it was in the beta. We did not have that optic in the beta, but that's something I did say. I'm like, dude, these scopes have so much muzzle sway. Muzzle sway, optic sway, whatever. So I really hope that's not the case for multiplayer, or that's patched out if it is. Because it's just way too much. You even when you lay down, there was a ton of sway. It just felt so off compared to how every COD has been ever.
Yeah, there was a ton of idle sway. That's true. With the EBR,
even on the hollow sites and shit, it has some.
Yeah. My suspicion is that this is not campaign specific. I bet you if you built a gun with those attachments for multiplayer, it would behave the same. That's I bet you that's the case.
Interesting.
So what that is going to mean is, if it's enough of an issue, they'll patch it. But if it's not, you're going to have to use idle sway attachments in multiplayer, which is potentially annoying and would make a gun like an EBR, which would otherwise be usable, unusable, because you can't afford to put on, because you're going to need so many other attachments that you can't even afford to put the idle sway, therefore it's not usable. Or it'll be a nice balancing mechanic where EBR would be really good if it had no idle sway, but it's balanced because it has some, and you have to put on a particular attachment to combat the idle sway, and that's like a balancing mechanism. I don't know, but there was a lot of idle sway with the EBR and the snipers too. And by the way, now that you mention it, you could not hold you held your breath for like 3 seconds. You could not hold your breath long at all in this game. That pissed me off.
I didn't notice it. It felt average to me, but I don't think about it too much.
Yeah. It wasn't the biggest deal, but I did feel like I was out of breath a lot. So
interesting. Start running more.
Yeah, I guess.
Another cool thing I like, there were a ton of different gun combinations, attachment combinations on the dead guys that I killed, which was pretty surprising to see. It's like they full on just created so many different loadouts in the gunsmith and randomly applied them to the AI. Because you think like, all right, kill these 5 dudes in this one house, they're probably all going to have an AK-47 with the same attachment. No, They would be entirely different. One would have a suppressor and a different grip and stock and like a 40 round mag. The next dude would have like a 10 round mag and a hollow sight and a short barrel. The next guy would have a suppressed P90 with a hollow sight on it. There are a ton of combinations, and that's very fun for testing out the new guns and kind of seeing how things perform prior to multiplayer releasing. So I thought that was cool that we got to see like a sneak peek of a bunch of guns that hadn't technically been confirmed. They've all been leaked, but hadn't been confirmed until we actually saw them in the game. You know, P90, a lot of 5.45 variants of the AK, which are not the AK-74. There is an AK-74 as well, but these are like long barrel, full size AK guns that are 5.45. So that will be lower recoil, slightly higher fire rate variant of an AK-47.
Yeah.
Thought those are interesting. Too many noob tubes, but that's fine. There was like an RPK with like a big drum mag on it, like that still reloaded quickly. That was pretty dope. But yeah, there's just a lot of combinations, even like guys that had sniper rifles and shit. So that was fun to see. Pistol combinations, all of it. I like that a lot. You know, you're getting kind of a little sneak peek at what we're going to get in multiplayer. I like that a lot.
Yeah, there were a ton of guns, and they all had different attachments. I really liked this. I think it was a 7.62 AK. It felt like a KN.
That's probably normal AK-47.
Yeah, slow fire rate, but not insane fucking recoil like MW19. And it was chunky. It felt really good. It felt like a KN, like from BO4. Or like an AK from Cold War even. It felt really good. That was probably my favorite like ground loot campaign gun for sure. But yeah, there was one mission where you were supposed to use a silenced weapon, and it would be like way harder if you didn't. So much so that when you picked up a non-silenced weapon, some guy would be like, "Careful using that. If you go loud, this whole place is going to be after you," or whatever. Yeah. So, and I had like, I think it was the one where you have the EBR and the pistol, and they're both silenced. But because there was so much attachment variety, I was like, oh, okay. Well, this guy is a silenced 74U. I'm going to pick that up. And then Captain Price didn't chirp at me about using a non-silenced weapon because I found another one. So then I continued to stay silenced, but I was able to also get a submachine gun that I didn't like come in with. I thought that was a nice touch. I thought that was cool.
That is cute, yeah.
I was like, oh, this is dope. Yeah, so.
Yeah, because they don't give you nearly enough ammo in the campaign missions either, which is annoying. You're almost forced to pick up guns all the time because you're always out of ammo.
Which I was fine with.
Even the guns that they gave you for the missions, like there was a one of the ones where you start with a EBR or something similar. It gives you a like hollow, or no, what was it? It was some sort of thermal sight. But the thermal, I don't know if you look through it, was different than it's been like thermal in the past CODs where it's kind of like grayish or like black and white type colors. It's like that new, there's like a new night vision or thermal optic. I think it is thermal that the US military has come out with, like Spec Ops uses.
Highlight, right?
Yes, and that's what that optic is. So I thought that was neat because that is something new and it is real. They're like insanely expensive though. I guess certain units of the military have access to those. And the sight picture is crazy with those. It's just like full on outlines people. It's nuts. It looks way different than like traditional thermal.
Yeah, that was
cool
optic
too that they put this in the game.
I didn't know that's real. That's cool.
It is, yeah.
That's
Grim, I think, first showed us those videos of it, and I was like, holy shit, there's no way.
How much would that cost, do you think?
Oh, God. I thought it was... No. I thought it was like... It was like over $100,000 a piece or something. I mean, normal like night vision that the like Spec Ops uses, like if I'm not mistaken, it's like 30,000-40,000.
Damn, that's crazy.
Those things are not cheap at all. But I don't know. Yeah, that's like brand new tech. So
that's cool.
But that was cool to see that they put that in a scope in the game.
Yeah.
Another thing for me here. Fuck every single heavily armored guy in the campaign. There were, I'm not kidding, 75% too many of them. It was so boring to fight when you just run across whole groups of them. And there'd be one normal unarmored guy that you could one tap to the head. And then the guy next to him would have a fucking helmet on. and you'd have to shoot him 20 times. His helmet would crack. Then he'd go in this like dumb little like disoriented thing where he's like, oh. And as you're shooting him, it doesn't do any effect until he finishes his like disoriented little stun, and then he'll fall over. I'm like, dude, really? That was not fun to fight against. It gave me Zabrala vibes from the Vanguard campaigns or whatever that one annoying thing to fight was.
Oh,
it literally was like, it was so stupid how it like puts them in this like automated little, like they're all swaying around. And then I couldn't tell. I'm like, okay, do they actually just need a bunch of shots, or is it like the game waiting for that to end before their body just falls over? And sure enough, it was. So those were not fun to fight at all. And as I said, they give you way too little ammo, so you're constantly picking up other guns, having to use them.
There were too many of them.
Fuck the armored guys. They were everywhere. They should have been super rare. Half the people you would fight would be armored. It was just not fun to go up against because it took like the time to kill in the campaign from actually 1 to 3 bullets to like literally 20 to 25.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Not fun. Which also worries me because now I feel like that's how a lot of the AI is going to be in DMZ and Warzone as well, which I will fucking hate if that's how they are.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the first thing I thought. I'm like, oh my God, is this really how the AI is going to behave?
True. Yeah. Yeah. The armored dudes were like they should have been in the campaign as like scary guys, but there were too many of them. It was like mostly armored guys in some missions.
So the fact that they weren't special anymore, it got to a lot of the missions. Literally, I would be more surprised when I shot someone and didn't get that hit mark. I'm like, oh, it's a normal dude, because so many missions had more armored guys than not. So that was not fun to fight against whatsoever.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It would have been fine, I think, if they just took like more bullets to kill, but it was pretty much ruined by the dumb little sway that it puts them in when they're disoriented and their helmet pops off. Even if you don't shoot them in the head, you like do a certain amount of damage to them, I'm pretty sure, and then their helmet breaks off. I don't know. It just seemed backwards for like a game, like a single player that's trying to go after like military type realism and shit. It just seemed like really wonky and odd. So they pissed me off. And then you can't, in the mission where you control Ghost, you can't shoot those guys either. So it's like he has to run up and stab them. That made that part more annoying to the camera mission as well. That would have been such a better mission if the armored guys weren't there, or if you could also shoot them.
I thought like, that was a fine
just shoot him in the fucking back of the neck. It'll be fine.
Well,
you can stab him in the neck. Why can't you shoot him and also kill him that way? Like, really? He runs up and stabs him right there. It's like, just let me shoot him, man.
Yeah. That's fair, I guess. I thought that was fun. Not realistic, but I thought it made it like it was a way to make the mission a little more challenging. I thought it was okay, but their existence in general, there were just too many of them, and also the riot shields. That was dumb. Everyone having riot shields is fucking stupid.
I did try the riot shield, by the way. At least in campaign, you cannot shoot when using it. So there were a bunch of...
really?
There's been screenshots and shit, though, that Call of Duty has put out where it shows someone running with a riot shield with a gun around it. But when I pick it up, you cannot do that at all. And then a lot of the guys...
in the campaign, I was getting shot by riot shielders.
Were they? I thought most of the time they just stood there and kept walking towards you. Did they shoot?
Definitely some of them did. I'm 100% sure on that, yeah. Not all
cool.
Of them necessarily, though.
Players will not be able to shoot when using a riot shield in multiplayer. That's good then. All right, cool.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I was worried about.
We'll see. It could have been the case you didn't have a pistol on your character, and that's why.
Yeah, it unfortunately could have been it. I wonder if anyone else tested that. Let us know if you picked up a riot shield and were able to like use a pistol with it or something.
Yeah, we'll see on that. But either way, I'm not super concerned about that. And if that makes getting gold on a riot shield easier, then I'm actually kind of in favor of it. Because it's not like that's going to be effective. You know?
I don't know if you can use like small... What if I could use a sawed-off 725 and a riot shield?
Well, then I'll be concerned, yeah. Then I'll be a little concerned.
That could absolutely be terrible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right, what do we got next, buddy?
I was surprised how difficult even the recruit difficulty would be. I fully expected like a Call of Duty campaign recruit to like literally run through the campaign in the middle of everyone and not die. I figured you would figure it would actually be that easy, and it wasn't. I put on recruit and I still died a few times that way. So even normal is pretty difficult. I cannot imagine why anyone would play in the highest difficulties. There's zero chance that's fun in the slightest. I mean, some of the missions weren't fun at all in normal, and they were still terrible on recruit. So I can't believe people do that. So I would not recommend going harder than normal if you just want to play through and experience a campaign. Don't don't go past normal. Even just play it on recruit.
Yeah. I didn't go to recruit because I'm not a fucking pussy shitter, but I did play it on normal. And yeah, it was surprisingly difficult at times. There were a couple points where I died like 4 times, and I was shocked. Because yeah, COD campaigns aren't hard usually. It seemed like you did not have much health in this campaign, even on normal, or I guess recruit as well, which was somewhat surprising.
It was the armored guys too. That's what made it harder as well, because they take so many bullets, and then you can't reload, cancel even, or do anything. So you get stuck in these weird mechanics with, a 30 round mag, and then you just die to them pretty much. Yeah, because they all push you.
Agree. So this isn't a big deal, but it was more difficult than I expected it to be on normal. Not too hard. I mean, wasn't that difficult. You could, I would get to a point where I died like 3 times and I'd be like, okay, I need to like really focus and fucking try for a minute, and then I'd be fine. But still, I expected to be able to just totally shut my brain off. And there were parts where you can't. But yeah, not a big deal. Still definitely doable. So anyway.
Yeah. Next thing was this my point? I think we were both talking about this, but anyways, it really seemed like duo co-op would have been really fun in this. Like that mission we were just talking about with the people sniping, with Price up on the mountain, Ghost going down in. Imagine if there's 2-person co-op right there, the other guy's doing the sniping, the other guy's going down low. That would make the campaign a lot more fun. Now, if I beat the campaign on single player, would then I ever go back and play the same thing in co-op? No, probably not, but I would have just liked to play it co-op from the start and just beat it that way.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a lot more fun.
I completely agree, and I feel like there were actually quite a few missions where it would have been super cool and like fairly easy to implement co-op for, at least duo co-op.
Yeah.
So that mission was a super easy one. One of you plays Price, one of you plays Gaz. Done. And then the mission can go the exact same way. And that would be really cool to do. The flying mission that I was talking about, where you're in the fucking VTOL or whatever. One of you plays as Ghost, who's on the ground doing shit for the whole mission. One of you plays as the guy in the Graves in the fucking ship for the whole mission. Super easy. No problem. Duo. There were probably... even the camera mission, I feel like, would be... It could still be done. One of you plays as Ghost.
You mark them. You could basically mark them.
It instead of auto sending
and then
Ghost.
You'd be like, go knife this guy, kill this guy, stay hidden. This guy's going to wrap around that way. Just wait where you are. Yeah, that could be fun, actually.
That would be cool, too.
That would require a lot of teamwork. That would be interesting.
That would be dope, yeah. Yeah, instead of, like, actually auto-sending Ghost, you just mark it for whoever's playing as Ghost, and they can, like, press A or F or whatever, and they'll go to the marked location, or do the marked action, even. That would be cool. That would have been, like, pretty easy to implement, too. I feel like pretty much every single mission in this game, even the mission alone, it could have been... probably would have been a little more difficult, but, like, Ghost is in the church, like, fighting kids the whole time, right? So one of you is Ghost, and you just are fucking killing waves of gamers, and then the other guy has the unfortunate task of getting to the church. Yeah, that could have been done. Like, I feel like it could have been done without having to change very much at all. It would have definitely been a lot more work, but how much more fun I would have had playing this campaign duo co-op is indescribable. It would have been so much more goddamn fun to play this co-op.
Because all of the missions, you're pretty much with another main character, like the entire time. Yeah. The one mission where you're storming the base, where Grave and all his boys are held up, there's one dude, Ghost, flying... it was Price flying around in the helicopter the whole time, providing air support. It's like literally like the game was designed for co-op, but then they just didn't put co-op in.
I know, actually.
Even the driving mission where they throw mines that we both hated. One guy drives the whole time, the other guy's in the passenger seat gunning everyone down.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. But you could probably look back and think that about every COD campaign, like, oh, this would have been a lot better in co-op. It was like designed for co-op. But really, it's just because the way the characters work and how you're not usually alone in missions and you're with another main character, it makes it feel that way. But yeah, it would have been, God, so much more fun.
It would have been a fuck ton more fun.
If it was co-op, I would also be way more inclined to play it on a harder difficulty.
Yeah.
And it's like they already have like the revive in the game. So it's like if your teammate gets down, you don't automatically fail unless you both get down. You go and res him if you can clear it out, 5-second revive animation or something. But whatever, it doesn't matter because we won't see it, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the biggest deal in the world, and like Tanner said, I wouldn't complete it solo and then go back and do it co-op because there's co-op. Rather, I would have just done it on co-op, and I also would have had way more fun. But it would have been cool to add, but that would have definitely been a lot more work on Activision's part. And I can see why they didn't do it. And further, even if they did add duo co-op, I'm still playing it just once duo, and then I'm done forever. So it's like, are they going to do that much more work for some guy who's going to play it once either way?
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
I get why they didn't, but it would have made it way infinitely more fucking fun. So
yeah, it's not something I expect, but it would be really cute to have.
Exactly.
Another thing here. So Las Almas is absolutely a large Warzone map that is coming next year. They talk about the area a lot.
So what is Las Almas? Is that the city?
It was like the which missions was it? I think it was the mission where you're like scaling down that rock face.
Like before,
and there's a bridge, and then you do that water mission,
Almas, right?
I think technically that whole area is obviously it won't be like that part of the map, but I think that whole area. I also saw a screenshot on Twitter. Some guy somewhere in the game, in the campaign, there's a map laid out on a like a table or something like that, and it's a map that looks like Las Almas, that looks like a battle royale design map. Oh. So I think that's absolutely like the first little hidden hint that'll be coming next year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
So that's
too,
really
actually.
dope.
There's mountains. There's like a city region, like a favela region, really. There's like roads.
I wonder if I could find the screenshot.
Yeah, if you can, link that in the notes or in chat, whatever. I'll pull that up. That would be cool. That is something that did not occur to me at all, but it is a different region. It's like in Mexico, whereas Mazrah is in wherever the fuck.
Copy image. Let me post somewhere. That. Put
Where
that
is
in internal.
Mazrah? What country is that in?
Oh god, it opens up small. It's such bad quality. Here, maybe I should just send it this way.
Put in an internal, huh?
I don't know the best way to open it because it's a really small. Probably pull up the tweet.
Fine. I get it.
Like there's even like the lines drawn in where like rows would be. Like that actually looks like what you would see when you look at the map view.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull this up for those of you looking on. I gotta sign into Twitter. That are watching the video. Here's a screenshot of the campaign mission Tanner was talking about. This is Las Almas. Yeah, there's water.
I guarantee that's going to be a map. Yes, and there's water. And what have they introduced this year? Water. Exactly. And it goes right through the middle of the map like the other BR. There's little rivers and shit. Big outside ocean or lake. What I guess it's probably an ocean. Which is how Mazrah is designed as well. Little city down low, little city up on the top left. Smaller little regions in between, another larger type city on the top right. Absolutely will be a BR map next year.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there, man.
Yeah, so that's cool.
So I'm glad I found that in the campaign mission, because I do think that will probably be the next BR map based on that.
Yeah, I'm glad you found that.
Easter egg, yeah. So shout out to me.
But yeah. So that's pretty much most of what I have. If you want me to give my kind of closing thoughts on the campaign itself.
Yeah.
So if you like COD campaigns in the lore, this campaign is a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 for you. If you're just a COD multiplayer gamer and don't usually care about single player like me, you're just not going to care that much about it. It's not going to like change your mind and suddenly be like, holy shit, I love all the COD lore and COD single player. It was interesting enough, but as someone who doesn't care a whole lot about it, it was just, I didn't care a whole lot about it. And we're discussing a lot of this in Discord, and I don't know, every single player first person shooter campaign game just feels like I'm back in 2006 again, playing like Call of Duty 2 campaign, Call of Duty 4. It just feels off still. it's just like such a cookie cutter basic FPS campaign, and it's just
Super on
not interesting
rails.
enough. Yes. It's like you accidentally shoot a civilian, your screen just instantly goes black, you go back to the last checkpoint. It's just boring. You're forced to restart. It's just like a boring, uninteresting grind. The cutscenes were like literally my favorite part about the campaign, even not knowing half the lore. I would rather they like seriously release like a 90-minute campaign movie and just me watch all the cutscenes than actually like play it through. Because sometimes it was only like a 7 or 8 hour campaign. A lot of the missions like literally felt like a chore. I'm like, I don't even want to play this campaign anymore. So again, I'm saying this, but I don't care about the campaign. So like I rate it like a 6 out of 10. So if you care about this shit, you will absolutely love the campaign, and it was very well done for the average person by COD campaign standards, I guess. But I'm just never someone that's ever going to care about it. So it's not going. No Call of Duty campaign ever will be a 10 out of 10 for me because I don't care about them personally. I understand why people do. This is being very highly rated in general. Most people are saying like 8, 9 out of 10 or something. But I just don't care enough about it personally.
Yeah.
And I thought a lot of the missions drug on way too long, like we said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I completely and totally agree. This is a Call of Duty campaign. It's a well-done COD campaign, meaning it was not transformative at all. It was exactly the same, ultimately, as every other Call of Duty campaign. It's a campaign completely on rails. Everyone's playthrough will look exactly the same. There are no decisions, really. You don't have any effect on the story or anything. And I don't really expect you to necessarily, but it's just super on rails. You have to do exactly what they say. There's a little bit of variety in how you can complete each mission. There are missions where you are incentived to go stealthy, but it doesn't force you. You can go loud, and it's like it'll play slightly differently. But
all of those end up going loud though anyway. Something happens, then it's all loud again.
Yeah, and then when the campaign mission ends, you accomplish the same goal, so it's like not that much different. So it's very much on rails. There are no mechanics or elements that are super transformative or different than any other Call of Duty campaign. So in that respect, it is very much just another Call of Duty campaign. And this is unlike, for example, the Cold War campaign, where there were different endings depending on decisions you would make.
I never played that.
The Cold War campaign, I would say, was actually significantly better than this one. Not because it was necessarily executed better. Not to say that it was executed much worse. I thought it was fine. There weren't as... Like, the cutscene quality and the acting wasn't as good in the Cold War campaign, from what I remember. But it was well done. But the difference is, in the Cold War campaign, you could make major decisions, and there were literally different endings, depending on what you wanted to do. Because your main character in the Cold War campaign is like a Russian sleeper agent. And you can choose to side with Russia and betray all your teammates, or you can choose to overcome your sleeper cell programming and like side with the Americans against Russia. And those are like wildly different. And it like changes how the last mission is played. Because the last mission starts, you make the decision from what I remember, and then either you fucking kill everyone next to you, or you don't, and they're your teammates now. And it changes your enemies for the rest of that entire mission. So it changes it quite a bit, actually. So that was like cool and like somewhat innovative and different for a COD campaign. This is not that at all. But for what it sets out to do, it does it very well. It's a very good campaign on rails. It's very fun. All of our issues that we've gone over aside. So if you like bog standard Call of Duty campaigns, you'll like this because it's that and it's done super well. Albeit with too many gimmicks that drag for too long. So yeah. For bog standard COD campaigns, I rate it 8 out of 10. For single player games, I rate it a 4 out of 10. I would never buy this or play this if there was only single player available. It would be fantastically uninteresting to me. But it's a campaign for a multiplayer game. So, yeah.
when it got to some of those missions, had multiplayer been out, I absolutely would not have finished the campaign and probably never went back to it.
100%.
But since we didn't have that option and no other video games, or video games aren't good and they're not fun and they're not well made, they're just not something fun to do. Playing video games is not fun. So if a fun video game had existed in some altered universe, they don't exist, of course, then I would have just never played this campaign. Yeah, I would have stopped so long ago.
Yeah.
But since there's nothing else to do, I figured, let's just beat it, whatever. But yeah, I actually had to take a break after like 3 hours. So I'm like, dude, I'm already fucking bored of this. I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't let our negative opinion ruin it for you. If you love Call of Duty campaigns and lore, you'll really love this campaign. So definitely play it if you're into that shit.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Could you get a deleted message on that last message there?
Yeah,
I can't do it.
we certainly could do that. Yeah. So moving on now, we're going to move into a little section. Not too much to talk about here, but there were some interesting observations that Tanner made about some elements of the campaign that raised an eyebrow and made us think of maybe multiplayer, maybe Warzone. Actually, not multiplayer. Maybe Warzone, maybe DMZ. That were interesting. So Tanner, let's talk about this. What are we looking at here?
So the crafting, when I got to that first mission, immediately, first thing I think when I pull up that menu and I see there's 8 different items you can, so it's like binding, metal, chemicals, glass, other shit like that. You can craft things out of them. There's like a little menu. So when you have the correct combo of things, then it'll let you craft it. That was absolutely not just added in for the single player campaign. That is something that I think certainly has to be coming to DMZ, which would go along with how the game would work, looting for certain materials like that, crafting things. Why would you craft some of these things in DMZ? I don't know. Or maybe it'll even be for Spec Ops then or something. But something even like the pry tool. If those items are somewhat rare and hard to find and there's rooms that you don't have keys for, maybe you have to pry into them and you can get into the locked rooms that way, because we do know keys are coming to DMZ. That's already been leaked.
Correct.
So, but yeah, there's no shot they added this whole backpack thing in and looting items like that and crafting to just have in the 7-hour long campaign. So this will be in DMZ in some way. And I think that's interesting.
I agree. Not to mention the backpack itself too. There's the backpack has its own keybind. You open it and you see a different looking menu. Unfortunately, I don't have a screenshot of that. But it's like where you select from a menu, you're like looking at what's in your backpack. On the sniping mission, you have to open your backpack to change from, I don't know, stun grenades to a heartbeat sensor. That's like one of the objectives. So you have to open your backpack to do that. And then when you do that, you can see like, oh, first of all, I have a backpack and it's got its own whole fucking menu or whatever. Yeah. That's kind of bizarre to add just for campaign. And I wonder what that could imply, right, for DMZ or Warzone or whatever. So one of the things that tells us is that when we were hearing about backpacks in MW 2 and we were seeing file names for backpack or whatever, it's possible that all existed, all those little trails, those little nuggies existed because there's a backpack in campaign. However, as Tanner just said, I agree, it would be weird to code all this for a campaign that most people will maybe finish once. So it does give me heavy DMZ vibes, principally DMZ. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Another thing. So some of these like little boxes you can loot. If you play Tarkov or not Tarkov, it looks like a munitions box in like Warzone, basically. You drop on the ground and you open up an armor box like that size.
In the mission alone is what we're talking about.
Yes. So there's other ones that you get to when you open it up. And there are optics. I was like, what the fuck is this? And it said attached sight. And I was like, oh. So I had just picked up a shotgun that had no optic. I'm like, oh, what the hell? So I pressed the button, and whatever primary gun you had out at the time, your guy takes his little fucking hand and sticks the optic on top of it with duct tape or some shit.
Yeah.
So that's not something they're just adding in for the campaign. That is something that will be in DMZ mode, Spec Ops, something like that. Maybe it's going to work even like DMZ, you go in with a base gun with no attachments instead of like looting around or being able to bring your own shit into raid. Basically, you go in with a default M4 and you loot attachments like that. So then you get something, you put it on your gun, you loot suppressors, different grips, throw them on there, and build up your gun in the raid itself to be able to take on other people easier and other AI and shit that are heavily armored and whatnot. So that's not just added in for the campaign mission. That's coded in the game, putting the attachments on your gun.
And coding in the animation too, because there is an animation that's very similar to Tarkov.
It doesn't just throw it on there. Yeah, he kind of like puts it and it kind of like gets hidden almost, and he sticks it on top of the gun. Yeah.
Yeah. So like in Tarkov, if you like find an optic, usually you kill someone who has an optic. You could take the optic off that guy's rail, put it on your gun if your gun has a rail where you can attach an optic to it. So yeah, there's like a whole ass animation in that mission. You open one of these like fucking briefcases, there's some dynamite inside or some whatever the fuck, and then in a couple of them, there's a bunch of little hollows, and you could attach the hollow. If you looted a gun off some guy you killed, you could put a hollow on it.
Yeah.
That is cool. Yeah, and it does imply something else, that they're going to use this, all that coding shit for other game modes. DMZ, probably, and maybe Spec Ops. Probably not definitely not Warzone. I imagine. I mean, maybe Warzone. You could put that on your ground loot guns. That would be cool. I would take it, but it seems more likely that it'll also be coming to like DMZ and shit. Yeah, and the main thing is like the fact that there's an animation for it is the biggest piece of evidence for me. Because coding in like you press a button and an optic appears on your gun, that seems super easy to code. And I feel like they could have coded that just for the campaign. But like your guy like picks it up and like, like fucking puts it on. That is a lot more work making animations, I think. So yeah, that does imply something going on. So that was, DMZ reminder for sure.
And then even the different type of things you loot is similar to Tarkov and what's in certain boxes and crates as to what they're going to have in them. So there's like little toolboxes, and generally those toolboxes had building materials, and then sometimes they had optics in them. Then there were like larger boxes when you're the mission where you're destroying graves in the tank with the C4. You go around those are like larger gun style boxes where like a gun would spawn, and that was full of C4. There are safes which you could unlock. I guess you could find the combination in the campaign and you could unlock it. I never did it, but there were numerous safes that you could attempt to enter a combination and unlock. There was like a special suppressed deagle in one of them.
That's dope.
So that's not all just in there for the campaign. Those are all things that would be in a DMZ mode, in an Escape from Tarkov type, looter-shooter video game. So that's, I think, our first kind of real hint and real kind of showcase of what DMZ, some of the aspects DMZ will have in it. So I thought that all that was interesting, and surprisingly, haven't seen a whole lot of people talking about that at all. I haven't seen anyone bring that up, actually. So we're the first ones, just like we said, Zombies was coming next year, of course.
Which we'll get into at a time,
We'll get into it at a time, not right now. But yeah, surely, this is for DMZ. Yeah. DMZ leaks confirmed.
DMZ leaks confirmed, indeed. Yeah. So here's a, by the way, I think this is one of them. Here is one of the... Oh, wait, this is an old-ass game, isn't it? Just got baited. Yeah, this is like a 10-year-old game. Never mind. We'll edit that out. But there's like a couple safes in the campaign. I think there are 3. So that's kind of cool. But, yeah, I agree.
Do you think that was from this game?
Just for a second, because I searched
Holy shit, yeah, Jesus Christ.
I looked in the bottom right, and I was like, wait.
You used your brain for a split second and realized it wasn't,
That's all you got to do.
5 days, 6 hours. Look at that. I just noticed that. Wow.
5 days, 6 hours, yeah. So, not that section, we didn't have too much to say. It's not too long, but mainly that alone mission, it was like, that's a lot. And for how long it was, too. Like, there were a lot of little things you could do, and it is hard to imagine they code all that just for that dog shit mission. So,
one last little topic that's now back to the campaign. What were your thoughts on the final mission? I thought it was a very underwhelming, boring final mission.
Agree. Yeah,
I can't believe the game ended on that mission. That was also one of the bottom tier ones. It was cool at first, kind of, when you're going down the side of the skyscraper shooting
was
in.
cool.
It was
I liked
annoying.
that.
It was annoying being upside down, but it was pretty cool still. But once you're in, and then again you're just fighting all the armored enemies, and then you lose your gun, and then you have to craft shit again. Holy fuck, that was terrible.
I was so mad I had to craft.
So underwhelming.
I also was shocked when it switches to ghost POV, and literally all you have to do is snipe some guy standing still and the game ends. Like, why
Some
are you
dude
gonna make me
no-scoped
switch
him.
POVs to take one super easy shot and the game ends?
That was
Like,
the last shot of the game.
yeah, just have ghost do it automatically at that point. Like, it wasn't hard to do. There was no time constraint. Like, it was so dumb. Like, it went through all the fucking, you switch POVs, you put your bipod out, and then you just scope in for half a second, shoot, game's over. Okay, like, I guess. Whatever. I thought that was really dumb, yeah. I thought the ending was very unceremonious, for sure. I had that distinct impression. I meant to write that down, actually. I'm glad you brought it up. But yeah, the ending of the game was super silly. Like the ending cutscenes or whatever wrapped it up nicely, I guess.
Yeah,
But
the gameplay though.
The last gameplay thing should have been better.
Yeah, that goes back to what I was
Way
saying.
better.
The whole thing should have been a 60 or 90 minute cutscene Call of Duty movie. I don't want to play it. I would rather just watch the cutscenes.
Yeah, that would have been ideal for sure. So yeah, overall, it was a Call of Duty campaign. I got pretty much exactly what I expected to get. It was fine. I would have not finished it if multiplayer existed, so I'm glad they released it early because they forced me to finish it. But I did, and I'm glad I finished it, I guess. It was cool. It was worth my time, but barely. Most of the missions were pretty fun. Some of them were dog shit. But yeah, it was a COD campaign. Those are my overall thoughts.
COD campaign. Yeah. That's pretty much it. You like COD campaigns, you'll like it.
That's it. We're done. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. TheDropshot.com. Find links to everything. Sub to the YouTube. We'll be doing our next Saturday ep on our YouTube. Become a member. Support the program. And if you really want to support the show, get ad-free eps, early access eps, bonus eps. Patreon.com/TheDropshot. It's the best way to support the show. We do 5 bonus eps a month. Every public episode as well is ad-free and early access for all of our patrons. It's the best way to support for you and for us, so we would very much appreciate that. And especially going into November, the launch of the game, the Patreon's going to be on fire. It's going to be incinerated. So many good bonus episode ideas that we have already brewing. They're going to be a lot of fun to record. They're going to be, I'm certain, helpful for you guys to listen to, fun and interesting for you guys to listen to. There's going to be a ton of new content for us to get active on, and it's pretty much the best time ever to join the Patreon. So patreon.com/TheDropshot, best way to support the show. We love all of you guys. Appreciate the support. We will be back next week. Keep your eyes on the Twitter or the Discord for our schedule for next week. It's going to be Cattywampus. It's going to be upside down because
It's going to be poggers, though.
The video game's releasing, so we're going to have to shuffle the schedule around substantially to accommodate for that. And yeah, that's the best way to keep up with us is the Discord and the Twitter, so give us a follow there as well. And again, links to all that at thedropshot.com. Stay humble.
Stay humble.